right, is it humane or is it not? I don't know. Some of the stuff in this movie may or may not be. Um, all right, well, what is this one about? Let's see what IMDb has to say. In the wake of an environmental collapse that is forcing humanity to shed 20% of its population, a family dinner erupts into chaos when a father's plan to enlist in the government's new euthanasia program goes horribly awry. All right. I said that pretty well, I think. I didn't think I was going to. But anyway, um, I didn't know too much about this movie. It is a new movie, so I'll keep this kind of spoiler free as possible. This one kind of came out of nowhere. I can't say I knew a whole much about this, and I just kind of turned it on. I remember seeing, um, I don't know, it being posted here or there, maybe on Twitter or whatever. I don't even think I did a press release for this anywhere on Promote Horror, so or maybe I did and just kind of went under the radar, but really had no idea what this movie was or what to expect. I just know that I had seen some people mention it or review it or whatever, and I came across it. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what this one's about. Um, so definitely a movie that's trying to make a statement about people, statement about governments and decisions that people make, and so forth. I'm not going to dive too much into that. I would say it definitely is an interesting plot in this movie. As far as when you think about population, you think about where we're going, as a world, as a society, however you want to break it up. As different countries. There's lots going on now with immigration here and in other places, and we've kind of maybe seen these kind of things in different ways in different other horror movies. Kind of thinking about the Purge. Is a day. When we have the Purge movies, you have a day where you kill people. It might not necessarily be a population control thing, but it kind of is. It's more of a revenge. I hate you, and or I just want to kill you, or for whatever reason, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it is also a population control kind of thing. But here you have it in a different way, and here it's a more structured thing here, where the government is kind of giving people incentives to, um, you know, have a family member basically sacrifice themselves, but in return, your family's kind of set up. So obviously for you know people and families that might be struggling, if they have a person who they can sacrifice, it's a sad thought and so forth. But if that person sacrifices themselves, then the families that survive, that are still there, might reap some benefits of that. A kind of crazy kind of scenario thought, to think that you would give up one of your loved ones to do that. But if you kind of think about it in a crazy, sick, sad way, if you have somebody who's ready to go, or somebody who's older or whatever, or somebody in your family just ready to do that sacrifice, and you have a struggling family, it can be a thing. I mean, it's an idea, and so forth. So, you also have, there's a little mix of politics in here. One of the family members here is kind of involved, kind of with the politics of everything here. The family involved here is different. It's on a different side. I kind of mentioned, maybe a family that's struggling, but the family that ultimately we end up, being around, is a mixed family, and a family that comes from money. The one father here, he has money. He has a wife here that's, I believe, is not the wife of all the kids here. So that's kind of plays a part in it. Then you have a group of kids that, one of them is adopted, and, each of them kind of has their own thing. Like I said, one's in politics, and then, one's adopted, and then there's a young woman. And, all of them have different life experiences, and all of them have different thoughts, on each other and on this whole program that's out here. Um, and, the family unit is not necessarily a strong unit here. They all have issues with them, each other, the parents. Some of them have seen the parents, some of them not recently. There's also another sister. She's a little bit older. So yeah, I think there was an older sister, a younger sister, and then two brothers here. One a little bit older than the other. But it's not a strong family unit. So they all come to this dinner, and it's a little bit odd because they obviously haven't don't seem to have been under the same roof um, in a long time. Like I said, they have issues among themselves, an issue with the parents, whatever, but they're there nonetheless. And that's when it's sprung upon them that the parents have decided they're going to join this program, sacrifice themselves, and so forth. And, before any kind of real discussion, before they can really get into it amongst themselves, the people who is a hired out group of people that come to the house to kind of execute this, to follow certain protocol procedures to, you know, uh, make sure that the people who signed up for the program actually, go through the process and die. And then the family is kind of set up afterwards. So there's a whole procedure thing and whatever going on here. So, unfortunately, I guess when they signed up, they didn't realize it was going to be that night. Once they're there, you really can't get out of it. So they kind of try to, but it kind of ends with the father going with the head. There's a head guy that's kind of in charge here, and he goes with the father alone, and they talk about what happens if he didn't want to do it now. And obviously there's something that's said in that kind of discussion where he's like, no, like he will not agree to that. So he's going to be killed. Right? It's a nice, easy process here, or as possible. Um, but a bigger problem arises that his wife, who was supposed to do it with him, leaves. She disappears in the middle of this thing, and once you, I guess, agree to this program, you're stuck in this program. So the father is now gone, but they need someone to fulfill the wife who is now gone. So that means one of the surviving kids here, or the young adult kids here, has to die, and that kind of pumps up the drama in this movie, and then kind of pushes the horror of this movie forward. So as you can imagine, it is then, set for these remaining family members to decide how to die. And are they going to do that in a good way, a bad way? Are they going to fight about it, kill each other? How are they going to try to kind of figure out a way of themselves outside of the program? What is going to happen here? And I should say that one of the older sister has a daughter here too. So she's there as well. So that kind of causes the chaos of the film and so forth, and kind of then turns it in the horror direction. So yeah, interesting concept, interesting how they kind of set this up. A lot of food for thought. If you want to think about where we are, like again I said, where we are in a world or in a society. Would we ever come to this in a certain time? Would it be in kind of this kind of sort of orderly procedure way that they try to do here in this movie, or would it just be like, government is just going to wipe out people? I don't know, different ways. But, overall interesting kind of concept and theme they did, to kind of try to kind of create something kind of new, touch on some issues. But then I get, like I said, towards the back half, it kind of narrows down into kind of a horror movie we've seen before. Trapping people inside a house and fight for survival kind of thing going on there. But definitely, really, really, I kind of liked the newness of the setup and whatever. And like I said, it gave me a lot to think about, which I liked. As far as society and whatever, and even you kind of see the groups there. Like I said, the family members a little bit. Each of them are a little bit different. So the way they approach things, and I think they'll give you some characters. Maybe you'll hate, maybe you'll like. I thought the guy who played the head security guy here, he's very interesting character. I liked what they did with him. He was funny, but very serious about his job. I really liked his character, just the way he came off, um, and so forth. So I definitely enjoyed that. Um, and then the way that they left it off, I think they kind of opened the door to kind of leaving it off. As we get closer and closer to the end, you kind of see, could they have done, could they have went this direction, that direction? There's a couple of different directions they could go, as far as, you know, who's going to survive, if anybody's going to survive, how they're going to survive, how they're going to choose, and whatever. I thought they kind of kept you on your toes there, kind of, made it seem in one direction, but then kind of went another direction. Not necessarily in a big twist way, but just like I think if you kind of picked a family member that you wanted to die or you wanted to make sure that they survived, I think it kind of kept you on your toes to see however you felt about those characters. You were kind of on edge to see are they gonna die, are they gonna live, are they gonna be the ones. So I thought they did a good job with that, and definitely in an interesting way they kind of wrapped it up. I don't want to spoil anything for you. I won't say anything about the outcome or how it ended, but I was fine with it. I liked the way it ended as well. So, yeah, and I think the acting overall was pretty good as well. And there's a familiar face or two in the movie, so you guys be okay with that. But yeah, so at the end, I think I'm gonna give this one 3.5 pools of blood. It actually does have some bloody moments and so forth. As the fighting begins. Not huge, but a little bit in there. Some moments that might make you say ouch or whatever. And, again, interesting concept, interesting way to kind of put us into a horror movie and get us to a point where we might be a little familiar with. But I think, one of the things I definitely appreciate about the movie is giving us things to think about. And I didn't think it necessarily, I don't like when it's kind of sometimes jammed down your throat here. I think they kind of went into it with ease and whatever. If you just kind of watch the movie and we're like whatever, but if you kind of take a second to kind of think about the situation, the world that they create here, I think it gives you some decent food for thought there. So again, 3.5 pools of blood for this one, and that is out of 5. Horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Definitely more video reviews of a while now. So if you're just interested in that, you can like and subscribe and do everything that everybody wants you to do. If not, no worries. It is okay. I thank you for any time you spent anywhere in my little house of horror here, whether it's here or promotehorror.com and so forth. Twitter and Facebook information down below as well. Feel free to reach out to me there. If you want to talk about this movie, another movie, horror in general, or you have something you want me to review, feel free to reach out to me there. And definitely in the comment section, once you see this movie, your thoughts. Did you find it as interesting as I did? Your thoughts on society, where it goes in this movie. And anything else about this movie you want to add down there, feel free to do so. And yeah, with that, I guess I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.